It's May 1941, and a 30-year-old sheep farmer from New Zealand is advancing 3,000 yards across contested ground on the island of Crete, with nothing but grenades and a pistol. He is not supposed to be here. Within 2 years, he will become the only combat soldier ever to win the Victoria Cross twice, and then spend the rest of his life trying to give the recognition back. The medals are the easy part of his story. The hard part is what kind of soldier you have to be for an enemy army to capture you and still have no idea what they've just caught. Charles Upham was born in Christchurch in 1908. He finished a diploma at Canterbury Agricultural College in 1930 and spent the next 6 years working as a shepherd and farm manager in the Canterbury High Country. The work was hard and the terrain unforgiving, and it built in him the endurance and self-reliance that would later define him on the battlefield. He was quiet, determined, and physically unremarkable, except for a wiry frame and an unusual capacity to keep going. In September 1939, at the age of 30, he enlisted in the 2nd New Zealand Expeditionary Force. Posted to the 20th Canterbury Otago Battalion, he shipped out to Egypt as a sergeant that December, having already turned down officer training once because he feared it would delay his departure overseas. By November 1940, Lieutenant Colonel Howard Kippenberger had talked him round. Commissioned as a second lieutenant, Upham was given command of a platoon made up mostly of tough West Coasters, and he quickly earned their respect as an officer who worried more about their safety than his own. His men would later follow him into machine gun nests without hesitation. It's the 22nd of May, 1941, and Upham's platoon is part of a counterattack to retake the airfield at Alamein. They have no artillery support, and they must advance over 3,000 yards of ground the Germans have organized in depth. Upham leads from the front. When a machine gun post holds up his section, he moves forward under heavy fire with a pistol and grenades, and the defenders break. Another machine gun fires from a house, and he goes in to place a grenade through the window. The crew is destroyed. A third post opens up. He crawls to within 15 yards and kills the gunners with another grenade. The attack fails. German air superiority is overwhelming, and the New Zealanders are forced to withdraw. Upham helps carry a wounded man to safety and rallies others to do the same. When one company misses the withdrawal order and is left isolated behind German lines, he takes a corporal and runs 600 yards through the enemy position, killing 2 Germans on the way, and brings the company back. Without him, they would have been cut off. For the next 2 days, his platoon holds an exposed position on forward slopes under continuous mortar and machine gun fire. A mortar shell blows him over and shrapnel wounds him behind the left shoulder, but he stays on duty. A spent bullet lodges in his foot, which he will later remove himself in Egypt. He is suffering from dysentery and can eat almost nothing. He should be in a hospital. Instead, on the 25th of May at Galatas, he goes forward under a ridge, watches the German advance, and brings his men up to kill over 40 Germans with fire and grenades. Ordered to retire, he sends the platoon back under his sergeant and goes forward alone to warn another company. He runs into 2 Germans, falls and plays dead, rests his rifle in the fork of a tree, and kills them both as they approach. The second man falls onto the muzzle. On the 30th of May at Sfakia, exhausted and running on almost no food, he is ordered to stop an enemy party near force headquarters. He climbs the steep hill to the west, places his men on the slope, and goes to the top with a Bren gun and 2 riflemen. At 500 yards, he drops 22 Germans, and the rest scatter. Kippenberger recommends him for the Victoria Cross, but Upham is genuinely distressed, convinced that others deserve it more. Only when Kippenberger frames it as recognition for the whole unit does he accept. The award is gazetted on the 14th of October, 1941. That November, Kippenberger deliberately leaves Upham out of the Second Libyan Campaign, certain that a man so hungry for action would get himself killed too quickly. The battalion is mauled in the fighting, and Upham helps rebuild it, taking command of one of its rifle companies. He is promoted to captain in May 1942. On the night of the 27th of June 1942, German forces hit the division's positions at Minkar Kaim. The fighting is vicious and hand-to-hand. Upham moves about in the open under heavy fire, checking on his men, and together with one of them, destroys a truck full of German soldiers with hand grenades. He is slightly wounded in both arms by shrapnel from his own grenades. The New Zealand division is now part of the British 8th Army, holding the line near El Alamein, and it is ordered to take the high ground at Ruweisat Ridge. The attack begins at 11 at night on the 14th of July. Along the ridge, the Germans are dug in and waiting. Upham's company is in reserve, but communications with the forward troops have broken down, and he is told to send an officer ahead to report. He goes himself, driving a jeep armed with a captured Spandau machine gun, and after several sharp encounters with enemy posts, he brings back the information. Just before dawn, the reserve battalion is ordered forward. They have almost reached their objective when heavy fire erupts from 4 machine gun posts and several tanks on the high ground. Upham leads his company in a bayonet charge on the 2 nearest strongpoints, his voice carrying above the din as he cheers his men on. In spite of fierce resistance and heavy casualties on both sides, the objective is taken. During the engagement, Upham personally destroys a German tank, along with several guns and vehicles with grenades. A machine gun bullet shatters his elbow and breaks his arm. He goes forward again anyway, bringing back men who have become isolated, and keeps control of the position until his company beats off a violent counterattack and digs in. Exhausted and weak from loss of blood, he is taken to the regimental aid post. The moment his wound is dressed, he returns to his company and stays with them all day under heavy artillery and mortar fire. Then the Germans and their Italian allies launch a ferocious counterattack. Shrapnel hits him in the leg, and unable to move, he and the last 6 men of his company are captured on the 15th of July, 1942. About 1,000 fellow New Zealanders are taken with them, but his captors have no idea what kind of prisoner they've just taken. From the moment they have him, the Germans face a problem they cannot solve. Charles Upham will not stay a prisoner. It begins in an Italian hospital, where a doctor recommends amputating his ruined arm. There is no anesthetic, and Upham has watched other men die in agony on that same table. He simply refuses. The arm stays, and so does he, already hunting for a way out. In March 1943, they move him to a prison camp at Modena in northern Italy. As soon as his health allows, he is smashing his bed up into the plasterboard ceiling of his cell until a second ceiling, wired together above the first, stops him. He is caught. That September, after the Italian armistice, the prisoners are shipped north to Germany. Upham jumps from a moving truck on a bend, breaks his ankle in the fall, and still gets 400 yards before they run him down. Each time they catch him, the same question gets louder. Where do you put a man who keeps walking out? At Weinsberg, a hard camp for officers, he gives them his answer. In broad daylight, in full view of the guards, he climbs the wire and falls between the 2 fences, tangled in the coils. A guard presses a pistol to his head and screams that he will shoot him where he lies. Upham does not hurry, and he does not flinch. He simply refuses to give them the fear they want and lights a cigarette. The Germans photograph the scene because no one would believe it otherwise. By now they have a name for what Upham has become, a habitual escaper. By the 14th of October 1944, they have run out of options and send him to the one place built for prisoners no ordinary camp can hold: Colditz Castle. He is the only New Zealand combatant officer ever sent there. Even on the train, guarded by 2 men and let out only when it is racing along at speed, he prizes open a toilet window and throws himself onto the tracks, knocking himself out. He comes to, slips into an orchard, and finds the neat rows of trees give him nowhere to hide. He is recaptured again. Colditz is liberated in April 1945. Upham pulls on an American combat uniform, picks up a Tommy gun, a revolver, 2 grenades and a compass, and gets ready to fight alongside the American unit that took the town. For 4 days he waits with them for the order to advance. But released prisoners are forbidden from joining active units, and he is sent to England instead. King George VI presents his first Victoria Cross at Buckingham Palace on the 11th of May, 1945. When the recommendation for the bar comes up, the king reportedly asks Kippenberger whether Upham really deserves a second award, and Kippenberger replies that, in his respectful opinion, Upham had won the Victoria Cross several times over. In England, Upham is reunited with Molly McTamney, the woman he had been engaged to since before the war, and they marry on the 20th of June, 1945. He returns to New Zealand in early September 1945, where the public attention is already waiting. When the news of the second award breaks that same month, his response is characteristic. "Naturally, I feel some pride in this distinction," he tells a reporter, "but hundreds of others have done more than I did. They could have given it to one of them." Then comes the offer that defines him. A group of prominent Christchurch citizens raises more than £10,000, a small fortune in 1945, enough to buy a man a farm outright, and presents it to him. He simply refuses. Instead, at his suggestion, the money endows the Charles Upham Scholarship to send the children of ex-servicemen to Canterbury Agricultural College, and it is still awarded today. Upham buys his own farm at Conway Flat in North Canterbury with an ordinary rehabilitation loan, the same one available to any returning soldier. He is said to have turned down a knighthood as well. He served on the Board of Governors of Christ's College for nearly 20 years and lived quietly on the land until his death on the 22nd of November 1994. More than 5,000 people lined the streets of Christchurch for his funeral. The truest measure of Charles Upham is not what he won in battle, but everything he refused afterward. He fought like a man with nothing to lose, and then spent the rest of his life giving back everything he had won. If you want more stories of the war's quiet, decorated men who wanted none of it, subscribe to the channel.